All right, we're ready to get started. Thank y'all. Call the meeting to order for our budget work session on March 21st. Our first speaker will be our city manager, Chris Rollins.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and council members, we're here at our second budget workshop. As y'all know, we're at that stage where we're getting the presentations from our department heads about their budget request. Our budget process starts back in the late fall, submittals of requests first of the year, and they're now here to show their PowerPoints with their request, covering their actual budgets, their capital, any personnel request. As y'all know, we have another meeting scheduled April to start looking at the budget coming together, looking at revenues, expenditures, moving forward to get a balanced budget. As you all know, we're required by state law to have a balanced budget. Our revenues are required to equal our expenditures. General fund is our general government side, supported by our property taxes. Sales taxes are two big revenues, some other miscellaneous state revenues, and then a lot of other smaller revenues. Police, fire, admin, planning, zoning, inspections, public works, sort of the recreation, the major departments on the general fund side, supported by the taxes. And then our utilities department, water, sewer, is supported by water and sewer bills. So same thing on that side. Our water and sewer bills, or the rates we charge, they have to be equal to the expenditures in the water and sewer or utilities department. So we're planning on the April meeting. Manager's recommended budget will be presented at the May City Council meeting, and then scheduling a public hearing as required by state law at our June council meeting. So unless you have any other questions, we'll start with the Public Works Department.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. As Chris said, I'm Chuck Smith. I'll be presenting the Public Works budget as the Public Works Director. So, just an overview of Public Works, our divisions primarily. We have three departments: Public Works, Public Utility, or Public Facilities, and Sanitation. The divisions within each one of those departments is listed there. Public Works Administration, Fleet Services, Street Maintenance, Mowing is within the Public Works Department. Public Facilities has Building Maintenance and Beautification, and then Sanitation is a department in itself. So we have about 26 full-time employees and one permanent part-time employee in the division, in the department. So some highlights for the Public Works Department for 2023. We performed street repair on just over 3 miles of streets. Mebane has just under or just over 67 miles of streets that we maintain, and that's city streets. 72 miles of sidewalks that we maintain. Those sidewalk miles would be included on city maintained streets, and we also maintain sidewalk on DOT streets. DOT does not maintain sidewalks. We actually, as a city, maintain 3 bridges. Fleet Services, we're actually transitioning to a new software where we can actually do a little bit better job with our equipment and vehicle servicing and whatnot. We've determined so far that we maintain just over 22 assets, which can range from a push mower to a fire truck. So Fleet Services guys are pretty busy. And I failed to put on here our mowing division maintains over 70 different pieces of property, 3 cemeteries, and the railroad right-of-way that comes through Mebane. So they stay fairly busy. So our fleet services division here is led by Devin, Jason, or Jay, and James are our mechanics. So Devin is a bit of a success story. This will be a common theme in Public Works. Devin worked under Richard, who retired from the city. We were able to, we advertised, went through the process, and able to promote from within, which is what I like to do. Devin was a very qualified candidate, and we were happy to make him our automotive supervisor in fleet services. Public Works street maintenance divisions led by James as our supervisor. Larry, Joe, and Brian work with him. James is another success story for us. Our previous supervisor resigned. We went through the process of looking for another candidate, and we found one from within, very qualified, promoted him to supervisor, and he's done a fantastic job for us. Mowing division, it's a common theme. Eric worked under Ron. Ron retired. Went through the entire hiring process. Eric was our top candidate. Very skilled, very qualified. He was promoted to supervisor, and he's done a great job for us. And he's supported by Christian, David, James, and Nick. We just hired Nick into that vacant position. So some of the highlights for the Public Works department is we've actually ordered a replacement dump truck that was in the budget. Unfortunately, delivery was about a year out. We're expecting it in December of this year. We have replaced one of our old sidearm garbage truck. We've got the new truck in now. We received and put in operation our brine mount system and body, and what that replaced. That system is a much more efficient way of spreading brine. We basically had a gravity type system with a spray system on it. This is a pressurized system that we can control the flow of brine to specific lanes of travel, and we can broadcast in a much wider area, so we can cover much more roadway with that brine application. And we've just recently completed the Crawford Street sidewalk project from North First to North Second Street.
How did leaf pickup go in this past year?
I'm going to get to that.
All right, perfect.
That's actually within our sanitation department, so, but I will cover that. I thought I anticipated that question. And if you have any questions, please let me down, stop me along the way. I'd be happy to have that dialogue with you. Public Works Department goals. You'll see a lot of this reoccurring. We're always trying to manage growth while keeping our small town charm. We come across folks all the time that can remember when Mebane was, population of 4,000, and they remember the way things were, and we try to maintain that service level for them. We're adding and replacing vehicles and equipment, and that's an important point. So not only have you all enabled us to replace older, outdated equipment and vehicles, but enabling us to actually add to the fleet as well. As our duties grow, we need different vehicles and equipment to perform, and that's been going along very well. We appreciate that. Continue with design and construction of sidewalk projects. What you see there is a small segment, a sidewalk that our street maintenance guys replaced. But as I mentioned prior, the Crawford Street project was one that we worked with Franz and his group in doing the design, and we helped out with managing the contractor to perform that work for us. Implement new work order system. This actually started back in September. The software system was one that was being modified. It was actually kind of being built for us. So it's been a back and forth process. It's been very good, but it's taken a little bit longer than we anticipated. We're 6 months into it and still kind of working through some of the reporting parts of it and that end of it. But the company that we're working with has been very good, actually creating certain applications for the city. So we hope to have that completed within the next couple months. And we already are looking at implementing routing software for the sanitation division. As I said before, maintaining high service levels for a growing city and always trying to keep Mebane as beautiful as it is on a daily basis. So some of the capital improvement project requests that we have, and I underscore these are requests for 24-25, is replace our outdated bucket truck with a refurbished truck. So this is a truck that we would use, just as an example, trim trees, hang decorations on utility poles downtown area and all that. So the reason for the refurbished vehicles, we don't need a brand new $250,000 truck to use it once or twice a week kind of idea. Design a new 2-bay addition to our storage building at Public Works. Boom mower, we're looking to try to have purchase a boom mower for a tractor that we already have. Design of 2 new equipment shelters, and that would serve both Public Works and public utilities. And we already have the design for the sidewalk for South 8th Street that would connect the South or 5th Street pocket, or excuse me, Pocket Park back to South 8th Street through the Villas neighborhood back behind there. I just spoke to the HOA president this morning, and they're moving forward with granting us an easement across their property.
Did we check the plans for that original construction? 'Cause if my memory serves, if my memory serves me correctly, that was a part of the original plan, was put into the sidewalk.
So it was not. There was discussion of doing it as part of that, and at that point, they did not want to do it. They have changed their minds now, and we have been working with them to get the easement to do the work, but it was not part of what they originally planned.
Did we get money in lieu of the sidewalk?
So my memory is not, because it's not a sidewalk along the road. It's a sidewalk back to the pocket park. So we thought it was a good idea, and that was happening. My memory was right after I got here. But Antrina, is your memory different?
You're right.
I mean, we really thought we were going to be able to work it out when we were building the pocket park, and it all sounded good, and then it just did not happen with the developer. But that project was well underway at that point when the backside of it was built years before that and had sort of been sitting after the slowdown in '09. I don't remember exactly what year we built the pocket park, but my memory is probably 14, 15, and we tried to do it then, but they just were not interested.
Let's remind everybody to put the speakers on, the mic on when they talk, please.
Okay, and these are capital improvement project requests for 25-26. We're looking basically 2 years out. We're looking at that 3rd Street, 5th Street connector construction for the multi-use path. We're going to look at our signal lights and the possibility of needing to replace the control panels or maybe the entire box. The Public Works, Public Utilities office renovation, and the 2-bay addition from the previous year design would go into those last 2 items.
Do you mind reminding me? I'm completely blanking on where between 3rd Street and 5th Street we talked about doing that connector.
The Duke Power right away,
Thank
where
you.
the big transmission line goes.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thanks.
So some smaller capital requests is for a 4-ton asphalt hot box and replacement of a 0-turn mower. Fee change requests. Our current rate for 12-inch, 15-inch, 18-inch RCP pipe The current rate simply doesn't even afford to purchase the pipe. The proposed rate is the actual cost of the pipe per foot. So we're not asking for any more than what we're paying for the pipe. And this is a pipe that a resident may ask us to investigate installing either as a driveway pipe replacement or in the side ditch within the public right of way. And I am asking that we remove the fee listed at the bottom there for street washing. We simply don't perform that for developers. They have their own companies that they manage that. Any questions about the fees? So requested operating expenditures. The building and line item 150, building and grounds maintenance. If you look at the bottom there, the increase is showing at just over $14,000. Two of the largest line items in that request would be a roof repair and floor repair at the Public Works facility. The fuel line was increased by $10,000. We're seeing fuel costs go up, and I think I already had to make budget amendments for some fuel items this year. Small equipment, we're asking to purchase a walk-behind vacuum system, signpost driver, plasma cutter, excavator bucket, parts washer. And then the last item, 153, is for a $50,000 increase in the street repair contract, which would bring us up to $750,000.
Looks like a $700,000 increase.
So in the 153, so it would,
Oh, okay.
so the
Gotcha.
750 would be within the 953,000 budget. And there's that $953,000 for that 153 line. 750 would be set aside for the street repair contract. Then we have other work that we do within street maintenance on the roadways. There again, that's within Public Works. So public facilities. So Holly Clayton, which good for her, sad for us, will be retiring at the end of April, is the supervisor for the beautification division. She's supported by Scott. This is Anthony Scott, but he goes by Scott, Alex, Elijah, and then Sandy helps all of us do anything and everything. So we appreciate Sandy. Some of the highlights for the beautification division, they maintain pocket parks. We just talked about North First, Stagecoach, Giles Street, Fifth Street Park, Bell Garden, Veterans Garden. Some of their annual duties are they do all the decorating for downtown and along Mebane Oaks Road. All that decorating they do in-house. Hang the banners, put up all the large Christmas displays, snowflakes, that type of thing. You probably notice more in the downtown area. They are responsible for replacing all the plants and watering, collecting trash. They just finished mulching, and we're getting ready to do plantings come May. So Eduardo is our maintenance, building maintenance coordinator. He's a one-man division. So he's what we would call a jack of all trades. He's responsible for maintenance of over 17 facilities. He's got about every trade under his belt, where he takes care of electrical, plumbing, HVAC, roof inspections and repairs, interior, exterior modifications, cleaning service, security, pest, rodent control, whatever needs doing, whatever you would typically do at your house, he does it on a scale of times 19. So he's very good at his job, and he does get support from the other divisions as needed, but his coordination takes place pretty much by himself. And we've identified in budget year 26 that we will need to replace the library roof. So we're looking at that.
That'll be solely us, no help out with the county or county libraries or anything along that line?
I think it's our building, so that's entirely on us. Yeah. And we're looking at that $270,000 too. We work with Garland to get pricing on all that. They give us a report for what needs to be done. So we're trying to scale that back a little bit if we can.
We do have a contract. We are responsible for the buildings and the grounds. They supply the staff and the books and handle running the library. And that's the same at other libraries.
So some of the smaller capital requests are carbon monoxide exhaust systems for, we need to buy 2 of those for our garage bay. We're going to want to install a sidewall exhaust fan in the garage bay. It's a different type of fan to help move some air through there. And we're going to replace the rooftop unit number 3 for the library. So the grounds maintenance, and I apologize, that figure on the far right should be 133,600. Reason for the increase of 133,000 is that listed below. Our mowing contract for 119 is going to increase slightly to 113,400, and the newly introduced cemetery grounds maintenance will contract a lot of that work out. That's going to be $80,000 annually.
We did get somebody to do the mowing out on 119 and
We did. They actually started this year with a partial contract, so next year will be the full contract for them. Yeah. And they've actually done a great job of keeping trash picked up through the winter for us. Yeah, absolutely. Looks great out there. Yeah. The sanitation department. So another success story. Gotta promote my guys when I can. Leon Eeks worked his way up through the ranks. Has done great for us. He's been our supervisor now for over 2 years, but he was an operator, but now he's a sanitation operator. Whereas he manages his guys, but he also gets in the truck and you probably see him out on the route. So yeah, Leon's a great guy. He's supported by Glenn, Jamie, Kevin, John, and we just hired Mr. Leathers in that vacant sanitation equipment operator slot, and Rob and Bronte. Those guys do a good job for us. So our 2023 stats, we collected just over 5,500 tons of garbage. GFL, who's our contract recycler hauler, they collected over 1,000 tons of material. We serviced just over 6,100 homes. And leaves. So Mebane's loose leaf collection program. I think we may be on our 8th cycle now, but we've completed at least 7 complete cycles around the city. Just so you know, we've broken the city up into 4 quadrants. We essentially start in one quadrant and we work our way all the way around the city. It takes us about a week to collect all the leaves, the loose leaves, within each quadrant. So it takes us about a month usually to make one complete cycle around the city. And in that, we've collected over 306 truckloads of leaves at about 25 cubic yards per truck. That's well over 1,000 tons of leaves that we've collected so far. And we have not paid any disposal costs associated with that, which is great. We find local farms, folks that want several truckloads of leaves, and they take them and compost them, roll them into their gardens or whatever the case may be.
Love that.
Yeah, yeah.
So you feel like things went better this year than the previous year, about the same? Are we in a rhythm or?
I like that. We're in a very good rhythm. Last year was the first year that we implemented the quadrant system. Some of the citizens were accustomed to just calling in and saying, hey, I'm got my leaves out the road, come get them kind of thing. And the only 2 exceptions for that is if there's a planned funeral on that street or sometimes wedding receptions on that street, we will skip off of our route and clean that road, but then we go right back to where we left off on the route. So I think citizens are much more accustomed to that this year than they were last year. So it's worked very well. Staffing has been very good. We actually have 3 new CDL drivers that just received their licenses very recently, and we're training them on our trucks. So we have 5 leaf trucks that we can put these these folks in to help us out with the routing.
Great, thank you.
For the sanitation department, capital improvement requests, we are requesting a new knuckle boom truck, possibly for this upcoming year, a pull behind leaf vacuum trailer, and that would be a refurbished trailer. For 2 years out, we're looking at the possibility of a new vacuum truck and begin a feasibility study and preliminary site design for a sanitation transfer station. So our vehicle repairs in the 5500 170 line increased 141,000 just over. I'm working with Daphne on those numbers are actually coming down some for us, but we were looking to refurbish and perform some major repairs on 2 of our leaf vacuum trucks. We might be able to get some of that done this year. And there again, the fuel line, I increased it by $10,000 because if anybody can predict which way fuel prices are going, I would be happy to put that in my budget, but hopefully we won't need it, but we need it in there. That's it for me. Any questions?
No staffing changes? Didn't see any.
No staffing, no personnel requests this year.
A couple questions, sir. How's the water feature going? I know it's recently been repaired and updated, and the veterans have actually been really appreciative of that. Everything going well there in the Veterans Garden?
Everything's going well. We do have a company that we keep on retainer, so to speak, to check the pumps, clean out the fountain for us, that kind of thing. I think that's been going very well for us. Same as the fountain across the street. We've been able to keep it operational for the same reason. We've had some folks wonder why we don't have as many lights on the gazebo out there at the Veterans Garden, but we do have temporary lighting we can put on there for any kind of event. So we've been very accommodating from that standpoint. Simply put, putting a lot of staples and wiring across there just was unsightly to begin with, and folks just didn't know how to turn the lights on and off anyway. So we provide temporary lighting for any events out there.
I appreciate that, and the veterans organizations I'm part of send their thanks.
Yeah.
Next thing was, I think a really good investment that we've had was the concrete grinder, the toe grabber
Yes.
investment. I guess which division is that?
That's street maintenance.
Street maintenance. I guess how's that going? Is that still in good repair? And I guess I'm assuming that's saving us a ton of money in regards to ripping up the sidewalk and laying down a new concrete.
Absolutely. So if we do have a portion of concrete sidewalk that deflects down, deflects up one way or another, as long as it's within a certain tolerance, we can bring our milling machine out and grind it down to eliminate that trip hazard. If it's deflected beyond the means of our grinder, we actually either in-house will replace the 2 pieces of concrete. So we marry up much better. Or in some instances, the sidewalk has just twisted left and right and has, roots under it or whatever. We have to contract that out. But in fact, we have a sidewalk replacement contract that's going to be let here very soon to help with some of those areas.
Excellent. Thank you. And I guess last one, how would you suggest the public reach out to you for minor issues that they see across town?
So any kind of minor issues, any trip hazards, definitely call Public Works. We actually have a presence through our website. We get messages 3, 4, 5 times a week on various items, but they can reach us through our mainline number or email. My email contacts on the website. Just give us a call and tell us where the problem is, and we'll go out and check it out.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
That's right. Beautification, you say you'll start planting soon, pretty
Yes.
soon? Okay, so is the cemetery for West End on that list?
The community cemetery, I do not have a planting plan for the cemetery as yet.
Okay.
Part of the delay in that is trying to determine the exact location of some of the graves out there. Now that we have the new fence up, we want to be very careful with that.
That is part of your 80,000, I
That's not part of that.
I know, but just to clarify that.
Yeah. So the 80,000 for the 3 cemeteries was an ongoing effort to try to make the grass at each one of the cemeteries look like that photo right there. So it involves aeration, seeding, fertilization, basically over the course of the year. Any kind of weed control, anything like that, we hire a contractor and they do it on a much larger scale than what we're able to do. With the idea I'm being told within 2 years, all 3 cemeteries will pretty much look like the grass that's right there in the Veterans Garden. But a lot of it right now is eliminating a lot of the invasive weeds that are in all 3 cemeteries.
And, but with the 3 cemeteries, that includes that one.
That includes the community cemetery.
all right.
Yes. So that's Mebane Memorial, Oakwood, and then community.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Chuck.
All right. Thank you.
Ashley?
Hi, good afternoon. So the Planning and Zoning Department will not be making any personnel requests for this fiscal year. We are presenting to you an organizational chart that you saw with the last budget request. We have 3 full-time employees, 1 part-time employee, and 2 contracts for support services. You, of course, are familiar with me as Development Director. We have 2 full-time planners. Rachel serves as staff to our Mebane Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission, and Brianna serves as staff to the Mebane Planning Board and administers our technical review committee meetings. They each manage approximately a dozen residential developments, so 24 in total, and then they each have 6 or 7 non-residential developments at any given time that they're reviewing. David, our part-time planner, and Tim Smith, our contracted support, assist primarily with permit review. So David is looking at fence permits, accessory structures, signs, anything that may be more common and everyday. And then Tim is assisting with certain residential subdivisions with plot plan review. He's a retired engineer and brings a lot to the table. And then with Central Pines, they support us with staff reports, special research, and other projects. Most recently, they've done research on e-bikes and e-scooters. The highlights of the current fiscal year include the adoption of the updated bicycle and pedestrian transportation plan. We have begun the selection process for updates to our comprehensive land development plan that was announced at the last council meeting that we're open for submittals, and those are due in a couple of weeks. We continue to do research and updates to the Mebane Unified Development Ordinance and intend to bring something forward to council in the coming months to finish out the comprehensive review that has been ongoing for a few years. And we've also, with the staff that I just referenced, primarily with the hiring of a part-time planner and contracts, have been able to improve our permit review time. In particular, our residents who simply want to put a fence or an accessory structure on their property are able to receive a response typically within 1 day, and 70% of permits such as that are approved within 1 week. So we've definitely improved that with having David, our part-time planner, in the office. For the upcoming fiscal year, we are looking to engage in updates to the comprehensive land development plan. So we hope to have a consultant selected by the end of this fiscal year in that public process beginning in the summer. We are looking to expand internal tracking and reporting of development projects, particularly Tim Smith, our contracted support, will be assisting us with this. And for an internal tracking process, that'll look like making sure we have every piece of paperwork we need on file before something begins construction and that we're coordinating between departments. And then it will also assist in making sure we're keeping tabs on the progress of various developments in Mebane. The biggest goal for next fiscal year is to explore local transit opportunities. You all briefly heard about this at your September 2023 council meeting. We did an informational item about interest we had been receiving from local transit groups on better serving Mebane. It's consistent with Goal 2.2 of Mebane by Design, the adopted comprehensive land development plan, which says to develop a coordinated public transportation system to reduce vehicular traffic demand in Mebane. And it's also recommendations consistent with the adopted comprehensive transportation plan. Snap of a map included in that plan is here on the slide. So that's affecting the budget in terms of an increased amount of $15,000 to the varied service account. And this comes at a proposal that we've received from Link Transit to extend their orange route that would connect Mebane to Alamance Community College. This would be a service that currently operates every 90 minutes, and the city of Mebane would be responsible for the local match. And that is the estimated $15,000 that you see on the screen. This is what it would theoretically look like. The orange line is what's proposed for this current fiscal year. And that is a connection from the park and ride lot that's currently at Cone Health to the Alamance Community College. And link services are beyond the community college. So if a Mebane resident would like to get to Graham or Burlington, that would be feasible by transit. This map also shows possible connectors in the future. And the one I'd like to highlight most is the blue dash that you see, the possible circulator. This is consistent with what's included in the 2018 Comprehensive Transportation Plan. We've recently had very positive conversations with Orange County. They have a strong interest and very much support doing this project in Mebane. It's something that we would like to explore more in the coming months in a public setting with meetings with our community members. And Orange County says that they may be able to provide the service in early 2025 if we have that interest. So we're excited about seeing a goal that was envisioned in 2017, possibly coming into reality in the next couple of years. Are there any questions? And there's my staff.
I guess the circulator tentatively would be fully responsible by Orange County,
That's what we're hearing at the moment.
to be determined. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Thank you.
Any other questions?
And then I'll also present a request for the Mebane Main Street program. Their drawdown request for fiscal year 25 is $118,000. And they also are requesting, well, they're not, we are, $50,000 in the Downtown Exterior Improvement Grant Program.
What's the frequency that we are getting updates from Mebane Main Street in council meetings now? I think we were getting them quite frequently for a while. Remember what the rhythm is for that?
Quarterly.
It's quarterly as required by our
Are
MOU.
we due for one?
I believe it's coming up, so.
Yeah, just some feedback. I'd be curious if, is that their voted on, 118,000 request to us? Is there any changes, updates?
That's what they have submitted to us, and
Okay.
we've not had any changes submitted to us.
Thank you.
It is an increase of 18,000 though.
Right.
All right, Mr. Cliff.
Good afternoon, council, mayor. I hope everyone's doing well today. Cliff Askew, Inspections Department Director. I'm here to present the 24-25 inspections budget. The organizational chart. The only change is we hired Carl Martin, which is a retired inspector from DOI. So he's a registered architect also on staff now. Brings a lot of experience with it to help us. And our highlights, we launched our use of the portal.
He's one of the best.
The whale portal we have out in our office area. We bought new desks, chairs, and reception chairs for the office. We purchased a new truck, replaced Keith's old Jeep. Richard obtained all his level 3s this past year. Brandon has passed his plumbing 1. Rebecca has passed her building 1. And Alonzo will be taking his plumbing 1 shortly. So hopefully by summer we'll have one more certification in the office. Below is we were just talking about Mr. Martin. We hired him. He has level 3s in building and in all his other trades. This is a great opportunity to have him here for us. A lot of knowledge, especially for as I was think the next generation. Richard and Rebecca, and it's a lot of good experience for them. We digitalized and disposed of all our outdated documents, plans, and files. So I took care of them. Below, we have our number of inspections we've done, which was about, I can't see that great, I'm sorry, about 5,300, I believe. Here. That's what happens when you forget your glasses.
You're right with 5,300.
for you.
No, I got it. Yeah, 5,300 residential inspections, 1,776 commercial inspections. That's just the date. We did 348 COs and 1,210 inspections completed by Rebecca for both zoning and building. Just also in a little chart right there in the middle, 22, 23. You can tell how we are increasing in code enforcement. You know, in 22, we had high grass, 73 people complained. Last year, we had 118. And, you know, catching people working without permits. The year before was about 38. This year it's 39. And she pulled over 1,300 signs this past year. And then all others, 119.
I do want to comment. I feel like, at least on my day job side of things, it does seem like your timelines for processing inspections and re-inspections has sped up. Are you seeing that with all the increased certifications and digitizing that you guys have done this year?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Everything's pretty much digital. So that really helps. And just like today, we just sent out 2 permit cost packages to a contractor, digital. We send them the link and they'll pay for them and we'll issue the permits.
Yeah, it seems like it's going even better. So
Yes.
good job.
Thank you. Our goal this year is to have Brandon obtain all his level 1s, continue to upgrade the online portal system, plan review, continue to encourage the public and contractors to use the online portal when submitting permits. We're also going to have Taylor obtain her notary, continue great service and inspections, and some things we're working on. We'd like to look at getting some body cameras, hard hats. We'll get the new hard hats levels and other equipment for inspectors, but the body cams is the big stuff, the big one.
What's the I think I know the reason for that, but I want to hear from you what the reason being for the body cams.
Well, it's just that when an inspector is talking to a client or contractor, the whole time it's recorded. So it's no who said what. It's the documentation's there. Also, it'll probably help a little bit too when you're doing inspections.
Home inspectors have started doing that as well for the same reasons.
Yeah.
I will add with some of our budget concerns and other research we're doing, that may not be a project we do this year.
Yeah. That's just, that is up to what gets passed in the budget.
Yes.
The camera footage, it's not like law enforcement. It doesn't require, it's public record. So basically you've got a public video recording of any conversations you have. Not like law enforcement where they have to subpoena it.
And I'm not even sure if we'll get them this year, but that's just something we've thought about over the last several years. Expenditures, building maintenance, that's new to us. It used to all fall under planning. Now they split it between planning and inspections. So that's an increased amount of $11,617. Our projected revenues for next year will be $625,000 for the building permit fees and inspection fees, $325,000. And below it just tells you which what falls under them categories. Here are some of the commercial projects we completed. UPS, Summit Church, we're wrapping up. Mavis Tire, Rocket Car Wash, Mod Wash, Thermo Fisher, Magnolia Glen, Clubhouse, Villas on the Fifth Clubhouse, Keystone Apartments, UNC Health, Lotus Third Phase, Superload Junction Clubhouse, Oil Change, McKay Books, GKN Edition, Wood and Nickel, IPS, X, ABC Store, Precision Plastic, and Cambro. At the bottom right there, sorry. So to date, we had done 173 permits. When we put this together, it's actually at 208. And it's just some of the jobs we inspected this past year. Any questions?
Just a comment, you made a big score with Carl Martin. He was, when I was at OSFM, he was best engineer we had. Actually, I think after I left, he was promoted to manager of their engineering codes division. So a lot of requisite knowledge to have
Yes, sir.
on our payroll.
Yes,
Mhm.
sir.
I do want to applaud your team too for their continuing education. There was a lot of certifications on there across the board, and that's really great to see.
Yes, ma'am.
Cliff, with the reinspection fees has that increased? Of people, do they try to do better now? Still- rather just pay it.
They're probably the same or up a little bit.
Okay.
You know, some of the superintendents on the job site, they just use us as the punch list. You know, so we go out and make them a list, and then we go out and make them another list, and then we make them one more list, and then we usually good.
Any
other
other questions? All right, thanks,
Right.
Cliff.
Thank you, guys.
Let's take a 15-minute break.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor. So I'm John Wellens. I'm here to talk to you about the budget request for the fire department. What you're looking at right now is a current organizational chart for the Mebane Fire Department, where you see our nice patch. Everything that's on the left-hand side, that's basically our full-time staffing and above it, which consists of 30 shift members. We have 6 in administration, and we have 17 current volunteer members. What you're looking at there is what we're going to talk about today. It is a requested organizational chart change. That is what you're looking at there is our paid staff only. In that it denotes the internal promotion of a lieutenant, potential hire of a new firefighter, and a new part-timer. So that would take us to 33 people on shift instead of 30. That's what the staffing currently looks like on your left. We run 5 people out of both of those stations currently. We have 3 assigned to an engine company, and we have 2 that bounce back and forth between a rescue truck or a squad truck at Station 2. And at Station 3, we have 3 people dedicated to an engine, and we have 2 people dedicated to the ladder company or the squad. So those ones on the bottom, that bouncing back and forth, what that does is if an EMT call comes out in Area 2 or Area 3, 2 individuals would take that squad. They would respond, leaving the ladder truck sitting in the building at 3, or potentially leaving the rescue company sitting in the quarters at Station 2. The proposed staffing would give us 6 people per day, hopefully, with the addition of 1 full-time guy and 1 part-time employee. If those same calls come out, it would allow 1 person to remain to get that apparatus out of the bay for additional calls. And you'll see what that's going to look like here a little bit later on in some graphs and data. Some of the highlights, obviously y'all are all aware that Chief Lewis retired after 32 years of service. We went through a fire chief's process, and here I stand before you today. So thank you very much. We had a fire prevention vehicle and trailer that was purchased and put into service. We used those to do our investigations for fire incidents. The Lexipol training platform was implemented. That is an online platform that we have that we can send out information to our volunteers, our paid staff, and they can do training away from being inside the training room all the time. We did receive a new engine. It is hopefully going to be going in service very soon. Thank you all very much for that. We are also going to pick up the second one, which was the 3rd one ordered, hopefully the end of June. So we'll be making that trip and have one additionally in service. We've made some changes to the one we'll be getting in the end of 25, and I think y'all will be pleased with those as well. And we'll talk more about that at a later date. We were able to maintain our ISO rating of 2. That is very good. We are very pleased with that. We had some training props that were delivered. They are currently being put together and installed out at the training facility as we speak. The fire department, between the paid staff and the volunteers, we received 28 additional certifications. That can be from firefighter certifications, technical rescue certifications, driver operator certifications, and so on. There was 8,912 hours of training completed in our organization this year. Goals for 24-25. We're going to be looking at redesigning our fleet. We're trying to do what we can to reduce the budgetary impact and get the best bang for the buck, so to speak.
What does redesigning the fleet really mean? I mean,
so redesigning the fleet, an example of that would be right now we have some apparatus that are, we'll say a certain length, maybe 35 foot long. They carry a tremendous amount of weight on them. And what we're trying to do now is minimize that as possible to still meet the needs of what we can respond to, and also trying to build up the motor, the transmission, the suspension, the brake systems to make them last. We are running more and more calls. Those trucks are going up and down the roads a whole lot more than they were 10 years ago. And we need to go back and look at what it's going to take for those trucks to remain on the road for a longer period of time.
Thank you, that helps.
We're going to be looking at restructuring our response for a more effective deployment. Basically, we have 3 stations that we respond out of. We have Station 1, which is down here, Station 2, which is on the north side of town, and then Station 3 off of Mebane Oaks. So we want to make sure that we're trying our best to keep those trucks in service in those areas, responding to those calls. Not saying they can't come across the tracks. We obviously know that they can, but looking at seeing how we can just make the most effective response possible. Recruitment and retention. We are putting together some teams now to explore what that looks like as far as going out and recruiting for volunteers, paid staff, our Explorer program. The Mebane Fire Department is very well known in this area. And a lot of that's got to do with the people that belong and work in those facilities. And we want to maintain that at all costs. We will be updating our policies and some SOGs. Hopefully be doing some staff restructuring and really jumping in on some goals for the volunteers, expanding how we can do some things with those folks, our training and our education. There's some of the numbers for our personnel requests. The lieutenant's position you see before you is an internal position promotion. That would be taking one of our engineers. They would go through a process and then hopefully promotion from there. That would be the lieutenant that we would place on the ladder truck that is out at Station 3. 2 of those people that are on that truck currently, there's no officer on the truck. And that is definitely a piece of apparatus that we need to have that capability on. What you see below you is the number you see for the hiring the 3 additional firefighters, and then the part-time salary you see below you. It is an increase on that part-time salary. We would like to have 24-hour staffing 7 days a week with that position is what we would like. That would basically take our staffing every day to 12 people. We currently run fully staffed at 10 right now with a minimum staffing at 8. Some of the capital improvement projects would be the plumb event system you see for Station 2 is $150,000, and the plumb event system for Station 3 is at $120,000. What a plumb event system is that yellow piping that you see. It hooks to the exhaust system on the trucks, and it carries the diesel fumes and exhaust out of the building. So it doesn't saturate our turnout gear. Our folks aren't smelling it, breathing it in as our apparatus are fired up in the bay and pulling in and out. Some additional requests would be some thermal imaging cameras. That is what you see on the left-hand corner down at the bottom. That basically allows us to see heat in an environment where you can't see normally. Those are great assets and tools that we would like to have. The MSA Rescue Air, a similar picture there in the center. That is something that our firefighters use when we go to an incident. We always have to make sure we have a 2-in, 2-out policy. And when we assign a RIT team, that is one of the apparatus that they have with them at all times. It basically is if something happens to us, that is one of the tools that they have. They can come in, they can give us breathing air. If we've run out of air, if our air pack is stopped, whatever it may be. And then the Hearst tool replacement you see below you, that is the last piece that would replace an aging piece of equipment that's on our ladder truck currently. And that is basically a small miniature version of the Jaws of Life for extrication of motor vehicle collisions.
Chief, let me interrupt you just for a second. So we do have systems at both of the stations to filter the carbon monoxide, but the system he's talking about directly connects to the exhaust to remove it without it going in the building and then being filtered. So it is a different style, but there is a system very different that's already there.
That is true. That system is called an air vac system, and it's boxes that sit above the apparatus bay. A couple of the fee changes that we would like to talk about would be the double permit fee. Basically what that is a fee where if we go somewhere and we find out some work has not been permitted, such as a sprinkler system, if it's a riser in there for one and it has not been permitted, our division doesn't know anything about it, we would just put this fee along with that as well. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the inspections department already has something like this similar in theirs. And then in addition to, we do not have a clean agent system fee. Those are new systems that we're seeing now, especially in a lot of like IT rooms and so forth and whatnot. We just don't have that existing right now. Requested operating expenditures, departmental supplies. That $8,700 increase is just due to the sheer fact of price increases in everything that we're doing right now, along with some appliance replacements in our fire stations for our firefighters, such as refrigerators. Technology license. So we currently use a reporting system. It's called emergency reporting. That system has been bought out by a company called ESO. And we have to, this is what we use for our national reporting system. It is what we collect all of our record management systems on. And this would be the increase to go to this company. Employee uniforms and accessories. That is an $82,000 increase. The big ask in that one is the fact that we had to replace our structural firefighting gear every 10 years. This is going to be an upcoming year where we've got a bunch of it that's expiring. That's why that number is so large. And then the small equipment, the $108,885 increase you see there is due to the fact that we were fortunate enough to receive those engines that we have coming, and we will need to purchase the equipment to go on those trucks. We do have one truck that we have basically stripped, and that's how engine 3 is going in service. But engine 2 that we pick up in June, we will have to purchase equipment for that. And then the engine coming from station 4, which will be the end of 25, we need to go ahead and start purchasing that equipment as well. There's a lot of lead times on the stuff that we need.
So items 3 and 4 in this list are kind of more one-time increases. They're not going to stay at this new level year after year.
Yeah, uniform and accessories.
Right.
Yes. So let's say, for example, that we may have to replace 12 sets of structural gear this year. Next year, it may be only 4 sets that we have to supply. So yes, that is very likely to change.
Your technology license, is the change at the U.S. Fire Administration level with a new reporting system, is that not, are they not providing software for that?
So they do. I've done a little bit of research in that. I don't know that it would provide us necessarily the records management system that we would require. And a lot of the data that we're trying to capture for not only our incidents, but as far as our inspections or downtime in apparatus repairs and so forth and whatnot. But I'd be happy to look into that.
I was just curious. I didn't know the company you have now is going out of business, the one that provides.
So emergency reporting has been bought out by ESO. So it would be a very seamless transition, basically, for us to just change into that company. So projected revenues, the permit fees, that's what the fire marshal's office is projected. The Eflin Fire Department contract. So we have a small portion that's in Orange County that we have contracted with Eflin. They pay us $9,000 a year to cover that small portion of their district. What I do know is we will have discussions with them coming up next month because that contract is up for renewal. I don't have any information for you until that point. The East Alamance Rural Tax District, that projected revenue was $582,318. That is for our rural district outside of our city limits. And then the Medic 2 rent you see below you is what Alamance County EMS pays us for the space that they utilize at our Fire Station 2 for their medic unit. Some of the data, we responded to 3,266 calls of service last year. What I wanted to point out to you was there was 845 of those were overlapping calls where we would be dispatched to an incident, and before we could clear up, we would get automatically dispatched to another incident. So that's a quarter of our calls are coming right on top of each other. Our average overall response time was 6 minutes and 50 seconds. We would like to be able to get that number down. I would really like to, and my entire staff would really like to get that under closer to that 5-minute mark. But we have some really long distances that we try to travel out of the 2 stations that are staffed. Average number of personnel is 9 for fire response and 3 for medical. We averaged a little over 22 minutes short of 23 minutes of on-scene time. And if we talk about Station 2 being on a call and Station 3 coming over or vice versa, it really increases our response time. Station 2, run into Area 3 to back them up. If they're already out, is 8 minutes and 41 seconds, and then vice versa. If Station 3 is coming over, it's right at 9. As you can see, our medical calls are a big percentage of what we do at 59%. 31% of our calls were for fire-related incidents, motor vehicle collisions, and then our hazardous conditions could be anything from, a fuel spill to a natural gas leak and so forth and whatnot. Any questions?
You made passing reference to a new fire station. Can you comment more on that?
What's that, sir? I'm sorry.
You made a passing reference to a new fire station. Can you comment more on that?
So we are definitely having conversations and talk about that. There is shortly going to be a time coming where Station 4 is going to be a necessity.
The part-time employee,
Mhm.
Are you just increasing the budget for fill-ins, or or is that actually gonna be a 12th person?
Yes, we would like for that to be a 12th position every day. That number reflected 24 hours a day, 365 days a year for 24-hour staffing
What, in a firefighter role?
as a firefighter.
So, why would that not just be another permanent employee? Will you staff it at different, with
So-
different people, or?
So right now, we would love to have a 12th full-time position. The full-time position we're requesting right now is to fulfill the role on that ladder truck to guarantee that piece of apparatus coming out. We feel like in the future, as we talk about restructuring our response and looking at how our apparatus responds, some of the responsibilities between the ladder truck and the rescue truck may very well be joined at some point. And then also, what does 2 years look like from now? What does 3 years look like from now with the staffing that we have as far as expanding additional stations and so forth and whatnot? And basically a staff redeployment.
So the part-time person, would you envision, several different people fulfilling that role?
So currently right now, if I'm not mistaken, I think we have somewhere around 11 part-time employees. We have some additional ones that are coming on as we speak. However, we do understand that they are part-time employees. They work fire departments in other places. That's why we have such a big pool of employees to try to pull that from. But yeah, they're not guaranteed every day. So basically what we're really hoping for is the minimum of having that 11th person every day to keep that ladder truck staffed.
And the 12th, actually the part-time position is like a full-time equivalent, what you'd like to have enough
That is
funding.
correct. Yes.
How do you think, what's your vision and how do you think the Alamance EMS station will impact you?
How the Alamance EMS station?
Yeah, looking
Oh.
forward in the future.
It would be tremendous for us. It would be very tremendous for us. Obviously, once we go to a medical call, once we make patient contact, we're there until we're released. So yeah, the quicker that they could get here in response, and plus it's just so much better for the citizens. Yes, that would be fantastic.
Is that happening? Or
We
you
bought the
just,
land, on 3rd Street, so, on North 3rd.
Yeah, so I spoke with Chief Money 2 weeks ago. I do know that they're looking at 2 pieces of property, or they were speaking of 2 pieces of property that they were looking to build on. But as far as when they're planning on doing that, I'm not aware.
So they talked about it last year in their budget, but it did not get funded. I think they're talking about it again, but it is funded by Alamance County, so it's sort of a wait and see.
Yes, we would be very happy to see that.
Didn't they buy that land right past, Liggett?
Oh, they've had it for 20 years. Rescue had it.
The Rescue had it. My understanding is the Alamance County has purchased it from Rescue.
For
The
EMT.
Yes, EMS
Okay, that's
station.
what I thought.
They've
And then you
talked to
said-
us preliminary about some site plans and how it would have to go through to get approval, but so far it has not been funded. But our understanding is they're clearly interested in it.
So, I wanted to touch on you with regards to the proposed staffing changes, and you kind of touched on the fact that about a quarter of your calls are overlapping.
Mhm.
Is that sort of some of the motivation here, is making sure that as you're getting these back-to-back calls for different things that are happening, making sure that you have additional personnel, or is it just if
It is.
situations change?
It is somewhat, yes. I will give you an example of that. If, let's talk about Station 3. So there are some areas that they would respond to quite regularly. And they would respond from, for, say, example, an EMS call. Right now, that staffing of that ladder truck takes the squad truck and basically responds to that EMS call, which leaves the engine in the bay, which is a good thing because they're there for fire suppression needs. But if a fire incident happens in that side or actually anywhere in our district, that ladder truck that we would possibly need to respond would remain in the bay because there's no one to bring it.
So they would have to, in order to get the ladder truck, they have to go back to the station,
Someone would have to come back,
the
retrieve it,
ladder.
and
Okay.
then respond to the incident. Yes.
Versus this way, when you have those overlapping calls, you have a person that can,
Yes.
and it's okay for like one person to be
It is-
drive.
It
It's
is
a
not-
big truck.
It is a big truck. It is not, it is not ideal.
Yeah.
Um,
But that can happen if
It can
needed.
happen. That's, in a lot of ways, that's what's happening today. That's just because that's where we are. But yes, that would allow someone to remain with that apparatus at all times.
You say squad here, that's basically for EMS calls?
Yes. So what we've basically done is we have taken 2 of our brush trucks. We have outfitted them with our EMT supplies, and that's what they're responding out of.
That cuts responding big trucks by at least 50%.
Yes, we have seen a big improvement on our larger apparatus by responding like this.
That change does create the concern of leaving your utility truck and your ladder truck in the station on
Yes.
structure hours. That's why you want the 12
That is correct.
person.
All right, any other questions?
Thank you very
Chief.
much.
You go. All right, Ms. Hunter.
Greetings, Mayor and Council.
How are you today?
Yeah, how are you doing?
Good.
All right. So we are the HR department, and this year new we are being pulled out of the administration budget into an HR budget that's for the city. So currently we're organized. There's an HR director, which is myself, and Jared Benson, who is our HR consultant. So some highlights of the 23-24 fiscal year. So we've managed successful recruitment and selection processes and initial onboarding for 3 key positions. Folks that are in the room, our police chief and wharf director and our fire chief. And I think the committee that picked those folks did a good job. So I think those folks are doing well. Since we created this PowerPoint, we have onboarded 41 new employees to date. 21 of those are full-time employees and 20 of those are part-time employees. We've implemented an applicant tracking system. So now, Mebane used to be that we had paper applications for prospective staff to work with us. And the IT department here was instrumental in helping us to then go to a process where we could receive electronic applications, but we did not have an applicant tracking system. So now we have an applicant tracking system, which is more efficient because it is, in terms of even look, it's a more professional look for us, as well as we can house all of our documents for our hires electronically. We can send out notifications to prospective employees electronically. So it's a better process for us to have implemented that applicant tracking system. We've also implemented a performance management system. So we're using Cornerstone for the 2 modules that I just mentioned. And so we are fully live with our applicant tracking system. We've input all of our data into the database for our performance management system. And then we're going to roll it out to staff this summer so that whenever we get ready to do our performance evaluations in the fall, then we will do that in an electronic process. So we have had paper and now we will manage that electronically. We have managed the compensation and classification study for the public works, public utilities, and wharf departments. So we're underway with that, and the consultant will be in at the April council meeting to present her findings and recommendations to you. So that will be upcoming. We have now engaging in 1/3 studies. So every year, 1/3 of our workforce is being evaluated in terms of going out to market to see if we're paying our folks competing well with the market. And so we're doing that. So that's this group that's going now. And then we provided some engagement opportunities for all of our staff. We've had some health and wellness fairs, biometric screenings, some financial wellness webinars. We think that folks, there's your mental well-being, your financial well-being, and your physical well-being. We want to engage employees in that. Some folks do choose to eventually leave us and retire, and so we do provide information for that so they can be informed of that, and employee appreciation as well.
Hunter, do you track things related to retention, turnover, and are you seeing trends, things positive, negative, both in terms of keeping our people, but also the interest of people wanting to come apply for jobs in Mebane?
Yes. So we do track some of those things. I will say our current system that we have and Tyler technologies that we use for payroll and finance and HR as well. It's not that robust in terms of reports. And so we're hoping now with Cornerstone, then we'll be able to track things a little bit better with that. But yes, I do track turnover. And I will say thank you very much for allowing us to hire Jared Vinson, because he's worked very hard with department heads to get departments staffed. And in fact, Chuck was just talking about, bragging on his staff and being able to promote people, in the 22-23 fiscal year, we were up in all areas in terms of our turnover. And as an organization, we were at 16%. And that's up from 6% the past 3 years. And right now we're tracking at 7% for our turnover. And as of this meeting, hallelujah, we are fully staffed in public works. So we're very excited about that, because that was a department that did have a lot of turnover. And so we do exit interviews with folks to see kind of, why they're leaving. Unfortunately, sometimes it's because they want to earn more money. And so we're really trying to educate people on, the value of local government service from, a service standpoint, but also the pension and the 401k. Mebane is very generous. I don't think staff fully realize how generous you all are when you look at other municipalities and where you could work. We're very generous. But sometimes, that 50 cents, because I need to live today, and that 6% that's coming out of their paycheck does make a difference. So, and I think that's part of the impetus too for us having these 1/3 studies, so we can make sure that we are keeping up with the market, and training our staff and keeping them up to breast so that they can do their work. And what I personally would like to see is maybe less contracts and staff being able to take on some things, and that's, they're getting educated and being able to do that in their areas. So yes, we do track some things. I will say, hiring Jared's been great because he's been able to focus on recruitment, but there are some other strategies and different things that we need to be able to do. And maybe now, when we're able to get fully staffed, right now we have 10 vacancies across the board. And 2 of those I think will be hired internally. So, there's one department that we're working with to get their vacancies filled. When we decided to hire an HR consultant, it was so that person could be a generalist. And so they could do lots of things and not only recruitment. And right now they're only doing recruitment, and the HR department manages lots of things from employee relations, which, if you have an employee relations concern, it can take a lot of time to manage that, and training and development, recruitment and selection, compensation and benefits. There are many things. And so it would be helpful to have another person to be able to assist with that, because all of his time is being spent in recruitment. So our goals for 24-25 is to continue to assist departments with their turnover and recruitment and selection needs. As was mentioned, our turnover is going in a positive direction. It is decreasing. As you heard, with the fire department, we're working on standardization of some things and how we hire folks. We are working on a project, as Chief McKinney mentioned when he presented last week, that we're working with UNC on some recruitment things. So we are doing some things to attract people to Mebane, and get the right people in the right positions. As I mentioned, we're looking to do a 1/3 study every time. So next year we will have a different group of folks that we'll be looking at for that. One of the things, so it's very important us to have a safe environment here in Mebane, and we've done a good job of that. And you can always do better. We also have staff that are, very engaged in their work, and sometimes it's challenging to go off-site and complete training. So what we've been able to do is now, starting in July, the next fiscal year, we will be rolling out virtual training when it's appropriate, for our safety and risk management pieces. So people will be able to do that from their desk. It will be monitored. They will have to take a test at the end. So it's not just click, click, click. It won't allow you to do that. And we think that will add value because we want everybody to be safe, whether you're on the street or wherever you are. And that will help us to be able to do that. And then the dollars that we use for EnviroSafe, who we use for our safety and risk training, we'll be able to focus pretty much basically on hands-on training and our safety audits that we do pretty much every month, to get us on track there. And then what we'd like to do, and I think this last goal is kind of contingent on, if we were able to get some full-time or part-time dollars in our department, is to initiate supervisory training and development. So I've been asked by department heads and recognize the need myself for us to have training in-house for certain things like FMLA, progressive discipline, supervisory training, that sort of thing. And so we want to be able to bring that in as well. So those are the goals for 24, 25. As I mentioned, so we've kind of talked about this, and certainly if you have any questions for me, but we are requesting an HR consultant. There are many things that person can do, but I'm thinking that that person can take a big piece of what we're doing in risk management for us, as well as some ancillary projects and things that we have going on in the department that we'd like to do. And then we really need policy revision. And so I would like to take that on. We need to look at our employee policy manual, which we implemented in 2014. And Esther Bennett was excellent. She did a really good job. There are some things that we now need to revise and do, and that is time consuming. I have talked about having an outside counsel who specializes in employee relations and labor law to do that. And the recommendation was you should do it in-house and let me revise it, because you live it, I don't live it. And so you live it, you're able to make those adjustments and then consult on the end. So we're requesting one position, an HR consultant, and that would be 3 people in the department. We are the leanest department here. We service 167 employees, plus whatever additional positions you may or may not approve, and our part-time folks as well. Do you have any questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Ms. Hunter, my memory is our first 1/3 study will be coming to council with a presentation
Yes,
at the April meeting.
that's right, April 8th. So Delane Honeycutt from Honeycutt Consulting will be here to talk to you about that and the cost and kind of what we did. And she and I are also developing job descriptions for our folks, because we're looking at public works and public utilities and the wharf, and we need to have some separation there in terms of the duties of those that have kind of been clumped together, and they do different work. And so I'm taking the lead on doing the job descriptions, and then Delane is assisting me with that.
I really love that we do that 1/3
Yeah.
on a schedule. It's like you said, that's a newer thing for us, and I think it's a very proactive move.
Yeah, it is proactive, and we're taking a good, Mebane is doing a good job of making sure that their folks too are keeping up with certifications. We do incent folks for doing so, and we're kind of doing that across the board. And I think that makes us have a stronger workforce that's able to take on more things. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so, okay. Thanks.
I may need EMT, whiplash.
Yeah, keep that thing pushed in.
All right, Mr. Mitchell.
All right, Mr. Mayor and city council members, I'll run through the administration PowerPoint. So within the administration department, we have the city manager, assistant city manager, city clerk, city attorney, and our public information officer. Our public information officer would be here presenting with me today, but she had to step out for a part of a endeavor related to a very important meeting we're having next week. So that's why she's not here now. Highlights of fiscal year 23-24. We did have selections of 3 key department head positions that resulted from retirements: the police chief, the water resource recovery facility director, and the fire chief. We also received approval and expected to go to bid for the wharf expansion and Lake Michael spillway replacement. We implemented the final phase of the plan of action for our public information officer community outreach programs. We continue the long-established and successes of the Mebane industrial recruitment and expansion programs. We also have continuous long-range plannings for planning endeavors for our infrastructure replacement, our growth and outside funding opportunities. And then, of course, we have continued expansion of the public information officer / program community outreach over this current fiscal year. Our goals for next year are obviously to complete the onboarding process for the 3 department head positions that were mentioned. We will be going out for funding and beginning our construction for the wharf expansion in next fiscal year. We will be doing the same related to our Lake Michael spillway replacement. The city clerk is working towards her master's municipal clerk certification from the IIMC. And we, on our public information side, we're going to continue to discover new ways to connect with a wide array of our citizens who do not use social media. Our public information program has several categories we approach to try to reach all segments of the Mebane society and Mebane citizenry. Also, we'll utilize opportunities for our PIO program by adding vendors and contractors to aid with endeavors and social media management. Obviously, with a department of 1, we can only probably get about 40 to 60 hours a week out of 1 employee. So we want to be conscious of that. More closer to 40 than 60. Obviously, we don't want to work anyone that hard. You'll see our usual chart where we talk about this department leads by serving, goals to carry out the council's plan for Mebane's future, and we strive to provide guidance through collaboration and service to our employees. And as usual, Mr. Mayor, we try not to stand between you and the end of the meeting on our presentation.
Great job.
Any questions?
No additional staff requests for?
In the administration department this year, we have no request for additional staff, no CIP. We're continuing to look at some of the fee schedule. So between now and the next meeting, we may have some fee adjustments, but at this point in time, we do not. Probably only have 1 if we bring that to you.
I do want to add just a point of praise. I mean, I think this whole department does a fantastic job, and I appreciate you all. I do want to just note too, I think Kelly, and I wish she was here, has done a fantastic job, and the amount of work that she does in what few hours per week she has, because the amount of work I see coming from her does not seem to match 40 hours a week. So she's rocking it. She's very efficient, and I've always heard great things about her. So
We will make sure to pass it on to her. She has far exceeded our goals when we recruited and hired her, and we are very excited. And she has a strong skill set that includes the ability to utilize technology to maximize those hours. Thank you.
All right, any other comments?
So I just
Question?
wanted to let y'all know that staff is working very hard right now. And by staff, mainly the administration, engineering, finance, and then working with a couple of the departments, chasing some potential federal funds that could help us with our wastewater plant, some water and sewer extensions. We're also in the early stages, or actually not in the early stages. We're getting ready to submit a request for some community development block grants. We've not done that in, I guess, 10 years or so. As y'all know, we were studying the White Level Road, Mrs. White's Lane, Landy Lane area. The one area that seems to possibly have some potential for some grants is the Landy Lane area. It's not, I would say, the perfect application, but there are clearly some possibilities there. So we will be moving forward with that in just the next month, and you'll start hearing about that a little bit. So a reminder, unlike cities in North Carolina greater than 25,000, and 25, that's my memory, Preston, that gets money directly from HUD, or
It's
50.
much larger than that, usually Raleigh Green entitlement communities.
So yeah, it is much larger than 25. I think it's 50,000. They receive money directly from HUD. All the cities less than that compete for community development block grants. That could be for water, sewer, housing, even some development projects. So we're in that group where we would have to compete with the other cities all across the 4 counties, all across the state in order to be funded. Mebane has a harder time competing when you look at the average incomes in the areas in and around Mebane, but we do feel like there's a chance that this Landy Lane area could be funded for some potential sewer. Would involve a pump station, but we are moving forward trying to see if we can get in the application process for that. Leave anything out, Preston?
I think you covered it. Our next meeting will be April 11th. The budget will be,
Were you gonna let Kelly speak today?
we already did the presentation, but she certainly, well, I think we've already covered it, but I will make sure to pass on.
I didn't know if you saw her come in.
They sang your praises.
Kelly did a great job in her
Yeah.
performance, and you got a lot of accolades out of that. So great job. Mr. Mitchell, you have any closing remarks?
The next budget meeting will be April 11th. We will have probably the budget not completed by then, but we'll have more of a framework. We also will have information on the 2 large capital projects that will be part of the budget next year, the Wharf expansion and the Lake Michael Spillway. They will be, the Wharf expansion will probably have some additional scenarios to share with you. But again, all of this is based right now on engineering estimates. We don't know what the bids will come in, but that will be a different part of our budget process, going over those 2 large capital project ordinances on April 11th. So that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Anything else from the council, staff? If not, the meeting is adjourned.